Forget what you think about the Eldar. Forget their elegance, their wisdom, their claims of superiority. Because the truth, the damning truth, is this. The Eldar are not just victims in the grim dark galaxy. They are the original sinners. They didn't just suffer at the hands of chaos. They buried a god of pure cosmic horror. It was them, the very race that now styles itself as the galaxy's last hope. The Eldar give birth to Slaanesh, the dark prince of pleasure, excess, and pain, and in doing so, they tore a hole in reality that still bleeds today. This isn't just a story of tragic downfall, this is the story of how an ancient empire's arrogance nearly doomed the entire galaxy. So make sure you subscribe and stick to the end to hear the whole story. Let's begin. The Eldar present themselves as the wise survivors of a cosmic cataclysm, but behind the mask of tragic nobility lies a truth so monstrous it makes humanity's worst atrocities look almost tame. Because the Eldar didn't just cross the line, they erased it. They turned decadence into a weapon, and their own soul into ammunition. And the fallout of their mistake still shapes every battle, every demon incursion, and every flicker of hope in the 41st millennium. To understand how bad they messed up, we have to go back, long before the Imperium, long before the Emperor walked Terra, back to the Eldar Empire. Imagine a civilization that spanned millions of worlds, a species so ancient and advanced that things we call miracles were to them mundane. They were masters of the webway, slipping through secret tunnels in reality to cross the galaxy in an instant. Their technology blurred into magic. Their physical power let them shape matters. They had conquered disease, poverty, and mostly death. Their lives stretched across the millennia. Every physical need was met, every material desire satisfied. For uncounted ages, the Eldar were the unchallenged rulers of the galaxy. And there was the problem. With nothing left to strive for, nothing left to overcome, an emptiness crept in. When you see 1,000 years of perfection, what's left to feel? Their fall didn't start with blood and fire, it began with curiosity. First came new art, new experiences, new form of expression. There came new pleasure, new ways to push boundaries of sensation. Elder society started to fracture into codes of experience. No feeling was off limits, no desire too taboo, no act too cruel, as long as it produced something new. Their incredible psychic sensitivity, once their greatest gift, became the gasoline on the fire. Every twisted act, every moment of ecstasy, every carefully engineered scream of agony echoed into the warp didn't just vanish, they layered, they amplified. The Eldar weren't just living their excess, they were feeding into another reality, where it began to form something else. A presence, a hungry awareness, a dark mirror of everything they refused to admit they had become. Few noticed, few cared. Not all Eldar were blind. Seers and mystics, those still clinging to discipline, peered into the warp and recoiled in horror. They saw a storm gathering, a vast coiling shadow made of their people's sins, coalescing into a single terrible will. They warned their kin. If the orgies of sensation and cruelty continue, something would be born, something that would devour them all. But who wants to listen to a doomsayer when the party never ends? The curse of excess had sunk their claws too deep. Entire worlds were nothing but pleasure palaces and torture gardens. Rulers themselves were often at the center of the madness. The warnings were drawn out by music, by screams, by roar of a civilization too entranced by its own reflection. They weren't just unwilling to stop. Many of them couldn't. And then, the bill came due. At the climax of their decadence, when the weights of countless psychic atrocities reached a critical mass, the warp screamed. In an instant, all those centuries of excess ignited into a single apocalyptic event, the birth of Slaanesh. A new chaos god forged entirely from the Eldar's collective desire, pain, obsession, and vanity, tore into their existence. His birth cry was a psychic shockwave that ripped across the galaxy. Eldar worlds at the heart of the Empire died in silence. No fire, no bombardment, just stillness. Every Eldar, down to the last infant, had their soul ripped out and consumed in a heartbeat. Billions upon billions vanished. Their psychic essence devoured as the newborn god opened its eyes. Where the core of the Empire had once been, reality simply failed. Space buckled, time twisted, and a vast rolling tempest of warp energy burst outward. The scar is still there, the Eye of Terror. A permanent wood in the galaxy, a doorway for demons, a monument to the Eldar's failure. But not all of them died. Some had already fled, disgusted by the growing corruption or convinced by the seer's warning. Colossal starborn cities, Craftworld, had left the core of the empire long before the fall, drifting into the void. And on those vast arcs, the Eldar who still believed in restraint survived the birth of the Scream. Others had retreated to distant, untouched planets, maiden worlds, living simpler, harsher lives as Exodites. Far from the temptation of imperial excess, they too endured, though not unscathed. Then there were the ones hiding in the webway itself, in the shadow city of Komorra. The darkest of the Eldar had burrowed deep into the secret network between realities. When Slaanesh was born, they were shielded, but not free. The Drukhari, the Dark Eldar, survived, but to discover that their souls were still on Slaanesh's menu. To avoid being devoured, they embraced a new, perpetual cycle of inflicting agony. They learned to sustain themselves by feeding on the suffering of others, stretching out their lives on one stolen scream at a time. Every surviving Eldar in their own way woke up in a universe that now contained a god specifically designed to eat them. Fast forward to the 31st millennium, and the Eldar are shattered echoes of what they really were. But the consequences of their butchery haven't faded. They define everything the Eldar do. Craftworld Eldar live rigid, disciplined lives on paths of the warrior, the seer, and the artisan. Not just careers, but psychological cages built to keep their emotion under control. They cannot afford to slip back to the old habits. One more age of excess will finish them all for good. They fight with incredible precision, foresight, and cruelty, not because they're evil for its own sake, but because every battle is a calculation. Every alliance, every betrayal, every sacrifice of human lives is weighted against one brutal equation. Does this buy the Eldar another century of resistance? The Exodites cling to their simple words, hoping distance and humility will spare them. The Drukhari dive deeper into sadism, torturing the galaxy to keep Slaanesh at bay for one more night. From the outside, it can look like arrogance, coldness, random intervention. But under all, there is fear, a constant terror of the god they brought into existence. Imagine being born into their legacy, knowing that your ancestors didn't just lose a war or screw up a policy, they committed a spiritual crime so vast it reshaped reality. Knowing that when you die, if you're not careful, your soul goes screaming to the jaws of the thing they created. That's the Eldar everyday reality. So, are they villains? They manipulate other races. They doom planets. They will happily let billions of humans burn if it nudges the future a millimeter away from their extinction. Their hands are anything but clean. But they're also terrified, broken, desperate. They are both the original architects of Chaos Ascendance and one of its most tragic victims. So, the next time you see an Eldar Farseer cloaked in mystery talking about the greater good, remember what's really behind those eyes. A species that once had everything. They got bored, they chased the sensation so hard they accidentally forged a god of the horror, ripped a hole in the galaxy, and doomed themselves to a slow, terrified extinction. Are the Eldar justified in what they really do? Does their cosmic guild excuse their manipulation and brutality? Or are they just another monster in a universe full of them, only with better cheekbones and worse decisions? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want more deep dive lore like this, the ugly truth behind Warhammer 40k's most noble factions, hit subscribe, like the video, and share it with the friends who still thinks the Eldar are the good guys. Because in the grim darkness of the far future, nobody's hands are clean. Least of all, the ones that birthed a chaos god. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.